Hello, Mifo, how you doing? Welcome to those who are just now joining, recognizing some names, so that's cool. So some of the same people show up. That's a good sign for things. Building a little community of people, which is always good. Thanks for the likes. We'll just kind of. I don't have really a super topic for tonight. I was just going to come on and try to get in a habit of doing Wednesday and Friday nights. So we're kind of open for whatever tonight. I could take questions and maybe even bring somebody on the microphone, even though I realized my auto chat says I won't be inviting anybody onto the mic. But maybe I will. We'll see how it goes. Although, since I got a content warning the last time I did one, it'd be nice to put some time between me and the last content warning. I don't know how that works exactly. I don't know if they clear it after a while if you haven't had another content warning. So we'll see. But you know, I got two simultaneous guidelines, community guidelines violations at the same time. It wasn't big. They didn't say I was banned. They didn't say I received a strike. They just basically said my live was restricted, which is fine. Welcome, Desert Eyes. How are you? But yeah, I just would like to avoid that if possible. What's funny is after the live, it said I wasn't going to be able to download my live because, let's see, I believe you have to delete your live after it's over to avoid that. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So I had a notice on my video that said something to the effect of, you won't be able to download this live. I'll tell you here in a second on the different platform here. I won't be able to download the live because of community guidelines restrictions. And then like an hour later, that warning went away and I was able to download it. So I don't know if they changed their mind about my penalty or not. As far as where we're moving, we're not 100% sure. Oh, I gotta unplug that. That can't be happening all night, or at least for the next hour. So I don't know where we're moving. I mean, we're on YouTube right now. We're on our website, devilsadvocates.info, and here's the problem. I realize that users of TikTok, if we lose TikTok in America, users of TikTok aren't going to go to my website to find out where I'm going next. But that is where you would I would post any social media platforms that we're on. So if TikTok indeed disappears in the United States on the 19th, the Devil's Advocates website, devilsadvocates.info, will have all the social media platforms that we're trying to get onto. We are currently on YouTube. We also have a presence on Lemon 8. But Lemon 8 is owned by ByteDance, so I don't understand how Lemon 8 isn't going to suffer the same exact, like, several people said, oh, let's all move to Lemon 8. And I'm like, Lemon 8 is owned by ByteDance, and if American government has a problem with ByteDance, then they're going to have just as much problem with Lemon 8. So I don't know if it's going to sneak through for a few more days, but that's going to get shut down too, I imagine. Because in fact, what I saw of the language is the law will strike down anything like ByteDance, which will include Lemon 8, which is owned by ByteDance. So yeah, it's going to be somewhere else that we're going to have to go. And the meta thing is weird, right? Because Zuckerberg comes out and he makes a formal announcement about how he's now going to suddenly champion your right to free speech and remove the bots and the filters that they put on and apologize for overreach during the last, couple years and all that stuff. And then I said to my partner, I'm like, thank you for subscribing to the YouTube. Thank you so much. So I told my partner, I'm like, well, is Meta Reels, like, is that even an option? He's like, everybody hates Meta. Nobody trusts Meta. So nobody's going to go to Meta. And I'm like, okay. So like, where are we going to go? Like, at least when you have somebody trying to tell you that they're going to champion free speech, which what he said is nobody believes it. Nobody will believe. Like Zuckerberg will literally say whatever he needs to say to try to get people. So he thinks it's false and that no one's going to buy it. My partner's been talking about Blue Sky, I think it was. There's a whole bunch of knockoff apps. Kevin O'Leary says he wants to buy TikTok, but TikTok has already said they're not going to sell to a U.S. company. They're not going to be forced that way. So they're just going to shutter the whole app, and it's just going to go away. There are possibilities that can still happen. I mean, as long as they don't act massively swiftly on it. Trump takes office 1 day after the ban goes into effect, which of course the whole reason why the ban went into effect on the 19th is so that it would be done before Trump took office. So I don't know that Trump, I can't remember the legality. I wish I knew the legality. I don't know that Trump can do anything to override a decision by Congress, especially when they've supported their decision in the first place. But yeah, the 119 is date is sus for sure. Yeah, right, exactly. That was I think that was Biden's attempt to put the finger to Trump by making sure that it happened before he took office. And if they didn't grant Trump's request to stay the hearing, which they didn't, then it seems like they're planning on moving forward and making a decision before he takes office. And what powers he might have, and again, when I talk about Trump and Biden, please understand I am not a political person, so I'm not into, I'm really not into it's Democrats versus Republicans conversation. I feel like it's the elite versus the rest of us little peasants. That is the real issue in America. So both sides of the political spectrum F America, in my opinion. So I don't, if I say something positive about either Republicans or Democrats, or negative about Republicans or Democrats, it's not because I'm political. I'm simply making a point about an action. If Trump will reverse the Supreme Court or has the ability to reverse the Supreme Court's decision. And I agree, billionaires do not give zero shits. And this is what I ranted about on today's video. The TikTok ban has nothing to do with your national security or privacy. It has nothing to do with that. It's everything to do with American government protecting their business partners. That's all it is. They want an American company to take over so that American business can continue to thrive and not have people talk shitty about American business and hurt their bottom line. So you will be censored if an American company owns TikTok. Because the censorship will come from making sure that you don't get reach and spread on things that will hurt their business partners. And business writes the laws in this country. It's the corporations that lobby to have laws written and laws passed to protect their industries and their intellectual property and their financial investments. And so we have a corrupt system in America. We have a massively corrupt system in America. And the BS that they're just looking out for your national security interests to protect you Americans is horse crap. It's purely about protecting our business partners. That's it. Protecting American business. Which one could say, in a way, is defending America's sovereignty, right? Like, we want our businesses to be strong. We want to be the leader, so therefore it's all about our business. And you could make an argument that for national security reasons, we want to make sure our country is getting all the money. But it's at the expense of the little people who we don't get to say anything. We don't get to rail against the healthcare system. We don't get to rail against Big Pharma. We have to continue to play the game like we don't know that we're being screwed as a society by big corporations. And we have to pretend like they're looking out for us. They got our back. We know times are hard. But we're there for you. We're going to cancel your insurance policy, though, on that house that burned down in California. But we're there for you. We got your back. Anyways, I'm going on a rant. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. Luigi Mangione is the first person to unite us in a long time, and we're yearning for it. Yeah, and that's the problem, right? That's part of the problem, I feel, is there's no good platform for the citizens to get together and have frank discussions because they want to shut that down. I mean, even on TikTok. I'm not saying TikTok's perfect, because they're not. I get banned all the time not banned all the time, but I get restrictions all the time for saying the wrong things. So they're not a paragon of free speech. Nobody Nobody in America is a paragon for free speech. And I also talked about this in my video today as well. Credit card companies can't promote illegal activities, for example, right? So if you say something that borders on illegal or something like that or hurts an American business, those credit card companies aren't going to allow you to make money off of that. One, they risk the federal government pulling their ability to process Visa cards. If you're going to allow people to talk about things that are against your government's policies, your illegality, the government will say, well, then we're not going to let you process credit cards in this country. So it's a self-regulating system because the business has to play ball with the government, or the government will shut them down and take away their right to do business. So there's a lot on my mind. There's a lot on America's mind. The wealth inequality, the class inequality. I hate to say it. I was sold a lie. My age of people, my age of citizens, were sold a lie when we were growing up. That America was the greatest country in the world, paragon of free speech, and that anybody can make it in America. Even the little guy with nothing can, if he just works hard enough, can make it. We have been lied to so badly. All of that was horseshit. The little guy does not have it's a lie that anybody can make it. It's a lie. It has not panned out in 99% of the cases. And they'll point to the one-offs. Well, so-and-so was a nothing when he made a billionaire. Yeah, there are one-offs. Just like we use the lottery system to say the scratch winner won $5 million on the lottery, but they don't talk about the umpteen millions of people who didn't pay for their groceries that week because they were hoping to cash in on that $1 million check. Sorry that I'm a little overpassionate. I'm actually trying to tamper it a little bit. I'm actually kind of in the dumps today. I'm in the dumps because it looks like the Supreme Court's going to uphold the ban, and that really puts me in the dumps. I'm in the dumps because our account doesn't seem to be going anywhere, and we're going to have to leave now. So the following that we got, which is minuscule compared to many content creators, is going to go away. I can't seem to get any momentum behind it. And now they're going to pull the platform, and we don't know where to go. So it's just everything's very, very disconcerting today. From the start, the lie was only meant for white males who were already landowners. Yeah, I mean, yes. Unfortunately, speaking as a white male, there has been privilege, right, in this country, and I've been afforded that. And the only thing I can say about that is I don't believe in apologizing for something I can't control. I can't control the fact that I was born male or I was born white, so I can't apologize for that. And I haven't taken advantage of it because I'm not wealthy and I haven't taken advantage of the system. But I'm saying I've been afforded some things that other people haven't, and I'm sorry that that's the case. It's a shitty system. I'm just as much pissed off at the system as the rest of everybody is. I'm super pissed at the system. And so anyways, yeah, it's just, it's frustrating. Demoralization of the American people. Some say it's been Russian plan for some time. It worked. That was one of the things I heard in some arguments during the Supreme Court thing today, was that there's this argument that China and Russia are trying to make Americans fight each other, and that they use social media to make us go to war with each other. Because there's the old adage in war, a house divided against itself can't stand. So if you get Americans to fight with each other and hate each other and make it Republican versus Democrat, and my guy's the savior of the world and your guy's a piece of shit, and if we can fight each other all the time, we can't stand like that as a country. And so there's a mindset that says that we're being purposely manipulated by bots and farms in other countries that are coming onto our social media platforms and fomenting hatred and discord. When reality is, in my opinion, the average citizen wants to stop fighting because we all have the same problems. We want affordable health care. We want to be able to feed our families. We want to not have it so that if we get sick, we go bankrupt. We all want those same things. We want a chance, a fighting chance. So we're being told that we can't get along. We're all hating each other. We're all fighting each other. We have the appearance of not being on the same page about anything, when maybe we all really do at the root of it have a similar thing. Lady Capulet, I have to approve some of your comments because you're getting some restrictions on my side. The history you younger generation has been taught is not what I saw growing up. Yeah, things, I would say, finish your thought, but I would say that what they teach in colleges today is very different than what they taught when I was growing up. I was stunned to hear some of the things that they're teaching in colleges today. But here in Belgium, we were getting at the same kind of system of healthcare. Meaning you're moving to an Americanized system of healthcare? I'm really sorry about that, man. Stella, that's not good. Welcome, Review. How are you? Yeah, it's super frustrating to me. Yeah, Desert. That's a thing. Like we have a bit of revisionist history going on. Those of us who are of a certain age remember what we were told, and it wasn't. I mean, granted. Well, yeah. So we were sold the American lie. That's a thing, and we know it was repeated over. Our parents said it. Our teachers said it. Your education system continued to repeat the narrative, and it's funny. It's like. I want to go off on a side tangent, right? When you're very, very young in school in America, you're taught a glorified version of the American Revolution. You're taught that they were heroes and patriots standing against unfair taxation and religious freedom. And almost none of that was true. But that's what they tell you. That's what they told us. I don't know what they're telling you now because I'm not a child in school anymore. But that's what they told us growing up, right? Is that we fought against our overlords. We wanted religious freedom and we wanted freedom from taxation, and it was all this very noble thing. And as I went up the education system and I got into high school, those history books started to change a little bit. Well, there's more to it than that. It was more than just taxation. It was more than religious freedom. In fact, maybe religious freedom wasn't really all that big of a part of it. It was more about the money. And then you go to college and you find out it's completely different. It was all about the money. It was all about this. It was not about the things that they told the public. The public were lied to. And as you go through the education, the higher your education level goes, at least for me, the more I learned that what they sold you when you're young and a child was indoctrination. They indoctrinated the children into believing that their country was amazing and the best thing on the planet and nobody has it better. Everybody in the world wants to be an American because we have it so freaking good here. And we were proud, man. We were puffed up like, and when I was growing up, if you saw any video, this was stunner to me. This is embarrassing to admit. When I was growing up, you would see pictures of other countries on TV and it would be trash, garbage everywhere, people sleeping on the streets, flies on them. This is how the rest of the world lives. But as Americans, we have this great shit. You know what ruined all that? Cameras all over the world. Now I look at other people's cities and I'm like, holy shit, their cities look better than our cities. What happened to America's the best? Fuck. Mumbai is way better. Half the countries in China, the cities in China, people look better. They're wearing the same clothes as we are. And it opened my eyes. I'm like, oh my gosh, we've been lied to so badly. Our generation. Our generation was told they're all in poverty. They're barely walking. They can't move. Their government throws them in jail at the drop of a hat. You have it so good. And now there's cameras everywhere. And I'm like, these countries look great. I mean, granted, there are areas that are slums, but look at Chicago's slums. Look at LA's slums. We have, in fact, other countries do the same thing I found to their people, right? This is what it looks like in America. And they'll show an LA slum, a Chicago slum, and they'll show shootings. And like, that's what it's like on every street in America. Propaganda. Propaganda is something they do to every country, and it's what we do also to our own citizens. Propaganda. You're so much better off than everybody else. TikTok is an amazing thing to see that we are all citizens of the same planet. This whole border bullshit is starting to get old. Acting like somehow that you're a lower class citizen because you have a different flag flying in your country. You didn't choose where you were born. None of us did. So how do I stand in judgment? I'm on a rant. I'm sorry. This is outside my wheelhouse. Like, Devil's Advocates really isn't about social statements that I'm making right now, but thanks for helping me support the channel and asking for some loves and some likes. 1.9K likes so far. Thank you so much. That really helps. And that was the other thing. Like, yeah, I'm really discouraged, and I'm gonna make this brief because I want to get out of my own head. I said this to a few people today. I saw a couple of content providers on TikTok that have stumbled across my feed because they cover some of the same topics that I do, and I don't want to be an ass and childish about it, but these people were like horrible in what they're saying, just flat out lies. They're obvious lies, and I'm watching their live, and they've got 182 people in there. I can't get 20 regularly to come in here, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, this guy can tell flat out lies. Half these people can tell flat out lies and just be sensational for the sake and not even be all that articulate. And they got 180 people flocking to the stream to watch it. And I'm like, I'm doing something wrong. Like, I'm probably too old for TikTok, whatever the case may be, but it was very discouraging today. The whole thing snowballed on me emotionally. TikTok going away. I can't really make a difference. People who lie and flat out say just slanderous, crazy shit have hundreds of people watching them on a live. 200,000 followers, and I'm like, wow, like, what am I doing here? And it was just, anyways, I said I was going to try to be brief. I'm done. All right, let's see. Rather than critical thinking, intelligent discussion, yes. I don't know why all these comments seem to be blocked. What algorithm, what bot decides that these things are not something we can talk about? So it is what it is. I mean, the one thing I've learned about TikTok, to Desert, to your comment, one thing that I've learned about TikTok is there's people all over the age spectrum, right? There's people older than me, much older than me. They have big followings. Like, it surprises me. So in a lot of part, I think I agree with you. It's not necessarily an age thing, although I think that social media is more a younger generation thing. But there's plenty of old farts out there that are making a difference and sharing our perspective of what it was different, how it was different when we were growing up, and how things have changed in this country. Do I still think that Luigi Mangione played the 286 game with others? So what I can say about this is, when I come up with a theory, like I believe there was accomplices, and I have several reasons to believe that hasn't changed. That theory is still there. I believe that there's a very strong possibility of extra accomplices, and that Luigi was involved in some way, but there was accomplices. So I still 100% believe that. Is there a part of me that says it could be just as simple as one guy? There's a part of me that can accept that. There's a part of me that can. So that's where I'm at. I run with this theory of multiple accomplices until it is proven not true, and has not been proven not true. Oh yeah, I have 24. I got 29 actually. So, but anyway, so that's where I stand, and I focus more on the multiple accomplices theory for two reasons. One, it gives Luigi a potential reasonable doubt in the American's mind that maybe he didn't do it alone, maybe he didn't do it at all, maybe he was a fall guy. All these things are for reasonable doubts purposes, and also I'm hoping that there's a trick up the sleeve that we don't know about, frankly. Left brain, fantastic. You can please tap, give some hearts. Appreciate all the support. Thank you so much. So anyways, that's where I stand. I hope that's not, and I in fact, I had somebody contact me today. It was kind of very sad, in a way. I had somebody contact me today privately that said, hey, I've been following your channel, and I really appreciate your take on things, but I need to step away from the Luigi Mangione thing because people are going nuts, and the more I look into it, the more it seems like he actually did it, and I need to step away because it's too depressing, because it's just like, I wanted him not to be guilty, and it looks like he's going to be guilty. And what I have to say to that is, for those who kind of feel this way, is keep in mind, you have not heard Karen Agnifilo give her defense yet. All you're hearing is the prosecution / law enforcement feeding the media the narrative that they want America to start thinking about. That's all you're hearing. So I encourage people who are getting a little discouraged that, man, it looks bad. Maybe this was just this one guy and all these things, and maybe he's just having mental breakdown and blah, blah, blah. Keep in mind, you're only hearing one side of the story right now. Wait until Karen starts to lay out her defense, until we find out how she's going to defend it. And then we'll talk about whether or not he's got a chance, or whether it was what they say it was. No, I don't believe you're going to need to wait a year before you're going to hear information. There's going to be, by February 17th, I believe, the federal government needs to indict. So they need to make their formal indictment, or at least get a preliminary hearing that it can go to trial. So there'll be more information that's going to come out at that point. Once that has happened as well, sometime soon there's going to be the discovery process, which may be going on. I don't have the dockets in front of me and all with that. But there's a process, and along the way, we are going to hear information. So yeah, you won't need to wait a year. There will be things that you are going to be kept in the loop on. Now, you'll be filtered through the media, and the media has a vested interest to tell a certain story. Reviewer saying, I sent you an incredible link to read. You should send it to that person. Yeah, I will take a look at that when we get off the live a little bit later tonight. Here I am with dead air again. I talked about my days in radio when I was going to broadcasting school. Dead air was a big thing. So here I am just sitting here drinking a soda and being quiet. Because guilty or not, pretty sure everyone just wants him out and given a chance to contribute. Yeah, that's a thing. Like, for a lot of people, it doesn't really matter. And that's the thing. That's the frank discussion that's hard to have in America. Frankly, there are a lot of Americans who don't really care whether he's guilty or not. They still, even if he was guilty, they want him to walk. And that's difficult, because the media and law enforcement will paint that as, you're fomenting violence, you're supporting violence, that is no way to solve anything, and you're sick in the head, America, if you think that way. Instead of going, hey, how did we get to the point where you think that's okay, and maybe we should analyze our actions to see if maybe we screwed up somewhere, if that's how America feels. But that's not what they do. They're like, you should be ashamed of yourself, not like, what did we do to create that society? What did we do to make people feel that way? CNN posted about jury nullification. How freaking interesting is that? I would love to know what their take on it was. I was stunned to see that they even devoted 30 seconds to jury nullification at the end of the TMZ special. So that's fascinating. In fact, I had a private conversation, and I won't mention who it is because I don't know that he wants it described, but I reached out to an attorney that's following the Luigi Mangione case on TikTok, and I watch a lot of his stuff. And I asked him if he would ever be interested in going on a live with me, because some of my followers are really interested in the legal aspects and things like jury nullification and such. And he and I had a chat in between his busy workday, because he's still practicing law and he was doing things. But he was polite enough to answer some of my questions personally. I still was trying to beg him to get on a live and talk about it, but he answered my personal questions. And his take was, and again, I'm not going to name him by name, but his take was basically, you were a little odd. Most people really don't care to know the legal understanding. They've already made up their mind what they want, and they're really not interested in legal things. So, he was kind of like, I could address this to the larger audience, but you're odd because most people don't care about the legal understanding of it. And I'm like, I'm not sure that's true. There's a lot of us who would like to ask those questions. How does jury nullification work? What's the difference between jury nullification and a hung jury? Because there is a difference. What happens if and what's the difference between just saying not guilty and jury nullification, or is it the same thing? So all those questions would be great to hear an attorney actually weigh in about. The one thing that he did say that I'll share is that the same thing I said on another video of mine, which is no judge will allow anyone in the courtroom to talk about jury nullification. Jury nullification is called a de facto right. And by that, what they mean was citizens are supposed to understand they have that right, and they don't need to be informed about it. And the reason why they know that they have that right is jurors are told at some point in the process that they cannot be punished for the verdict that they render, nor do they have to give an excuse for the verdict that they render. So therefore, the de facto right is, I can say not guilty for any effing reason that I want to, and you can't do anything about it. So it's understood that you have the right to say not guilty for any reason, and you can't be punished for it, and you can't be forced to explain your reasoning. It's just, how do you plea? I mean, how do you sentence? Is it guilty or not guilty? Not guilty. Okay. Is that your choice? Yes. Everybody read it out loud. Now, again, here's the difference between the primary difference between hung jury and jury nullification. Jury nullification will take all 12 jurors to unanimously agree not guilty, despite the evidence. So the evidence can come in, the evidence can point that a crime is committed, the evidence can point that the crime was committed by Luigi Mangione, for example. And the jury has the right to say not guilty. But every single person will have to say, yes, not guilty, yes, not guilty, yes, not guilty. Imagine the statement that would make to America if that happened. If 12 jurors can look at the camera and say, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. But this lawyer's take, between you and me, was that'll never happen. You're not going to get 12 jurors to do that. Now, having said that, this same lawyer informed me that this is a lot like O.J. Simpson. And in the O.J. Simpson case, if you grew up in my age with gray hair, you watched O.J. Simpson. And I would venture to say, please leave race out of this. This is not a race issue per se. But what happened was, I would say that the majority of Americans that I talked to everywhere, not just because I'm white and I talk to white people, believed that O.J. Simpson was probably guilty of the crimes. But they refused to convict because the police department was shown to be racist, planting evidence, doing everything they could to pin it on O.J., whether he did it or not. And there was a sentiment in America that it doesn't matter anymore to us whether O.J. did it or not. Not guilty. And that's a lot of similarity with Luigi Mangione. And I hope you understand the connection, that make that connection. Like I said, growing up, in my era, I watched the O.J. Simpson trial every frickin' day. It was fascinating. Learned a lot about law from the O.J. Simpson case. So what's most likely going to happen for Luigi Mangione in the case is a hung jury, meaning you're not going to get 12 people to say guilty either. Somebody's going to hold out. And they're going to force the group to go back and think about it some more, and someone's going to hold out. And then they're going to they're going to keep making them go back to the jury room and come up with a decision. And eventually they're going to get tired of it and they're like, screw it. Hung jury, can't get a conviction. Problem with that is, in our legal system, is that's grounds for another retrial. They'll just try to get 12 jurors who can agree. So a jury nullification has the benefit, which is probably not going to happen, that jury nullification, it's over. If the jury says not guilty and all 12 of them say not guilty, it is over. There is no retrial. But a hung jury, they can keep trying until they get a verdict. Yeah, Watergate trial, another one was super fascinating for learning how the legal system works and the nuances of the law and all that stuff. Yeah, the hung jury was what happened with the Menendez brothers. Now they have been in prison, right, until recently, when they were given a what was it? What did they call it? When they basically said that there was no reason to keep them in further. I can't remember what it was. That's a case I didn't track very much, unfortunately. Early in the days, I was interested in the Menendez brothers, but yeah. How many retrials can there be? This is what I wanted to ask the lawyer. From what I understand, there could technically be unlimited retrials until they get it, but finances run out, right? And patience wears out. Both Americans' patience and lawyers' patience and court systems' patience. So I would imagine, but it's pure guess. I wish I had an attorney to give me his professional opinion, or her professional opinion on it. But certainly one retrial would be likely. 2 retrials would not be out of the question. But I would say that we wouldn't have 3 retrials. But that's a guess, pure guess. Can the prosecution use an alibi presented as evidence? Can the prosecution use use no alibi presented as evidence? I'm not sure if I understand the question, so maybe if you can reword it a little bit. And again, I'm not a lawyer, but I can give you an opinion about how I understand that works. District Attorney George Goskin recommended resentencing after reviewing a habeas corpus petition. Oh, that was on the Menendez brothers. Okay, yeah, resentencing. Yeah. If he doesn't have an alibi, so let me go back to look. Can the prosecution use the fact that he has no alibi? I mean, that's going to come up in the court. Yeah. Because obviously the defense would want him to have an alibi. He couldn't have done it because he wasn't there. But that in itself isn't evidence, right? I mean, on the prosecution state. The prosecution's like, he did it. Now you, the defense, have to prove he didn't do it. And so if you've got an airtight alibi, then that's going to be interesting. Yeah, like Review said, not having an alibi doesn't prove anything. And it's not really a factor. Now, if he has an alibi, it does prove a lot. The act of an alibi is not evidentiary. It would speak to narrative, however. Yeah. Do you think that they will get a search warrant to search his apartment? I don't know why they wouldn't have done that already. And they may have done that already. We just may not have heard about it. I would imagine that's been done a long time ago. No defense does not need to prove their case. The prosecution has to prove their case and counts. Right. So if I said that wrong, let me clarify that. The burden is on the state. The defendant has the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. The burden of proof is on the state. So if I made that sound like I didn't agree with that, then I apologize. I heard that it's going to be really hard to find people for jury duty since it's such a high profile. That's the case with a lot, though. I mean, there's been a lot of cases that it's gotten a lot of public press, and every single time you get a lot of public press, that we start asking the question, how are you going to find 12 jurors who are impartial? Didn't know he had an apartment that we know of. He moved out of his Hawaii apartment. Yeah. Wherever he was staying, I would be surprised that they didn't have already a search of that place. Every place that he's been involved in. Defense pokes holes in prosecution case to create doubt. He says hadn't had a permanent address since 2023. Where's everything he owns? Right. All those are questions we don't know because we're kind of in a dark hole right now. Those are going to be some of the surprises that's going to come out when the trial starts. What did they get? What didn't they get? If he was to be convicted, what do you think the minimum sentence could be? Minimum sentence? First of all, I don't think he's going to get the minimum. They're going to give him the maximum. But the minimum sentence, I do not know what the minimum sentence is for murder one. Now, here's the thing. That's a convicted of what? Convicted of murder one? Convicted of a lesser charge? Convicted of manslaughter? Because a lot of times, when it comes down to the end, there's a potential for a plea deal. Now, again, I don't see the state in this case or the federal government pleading down anything. They're going to try to go for all or nothing. Yeah, the people who he shared the hostel with certainly are going to probably be deposed, and we're going to hear more about that in the trial. The minimum he's looking at is in federal is life. Probably true, yeah. But again, that's if they don't plead down to a lesser charge. Yeah, and I don't know what the mandatory sentencing laws are in New York, in the state and federal systems. So those are things that we're going to learn more about when the story starts, or when I'm no longer working for a while and I can put more time into research and do those things. And then the question is, where do I share my knowledge or research, because TikTok apparently won't exist in America at that time. So we'll see. Great discussion tonight. Like I said, this was just kind of a free-form question and answers. We've gone from class inequality and the lie of the American dream to... and thank you for following on YouTube. If you're saying you're following me, I don't know if you were talking to somebody else, but if you're following me on YouTube, thank you so much. Do you think there's any chance that this will be broadcast on live TV? So the question, is there any chance? Yes. Is it likely? No. That's where I sit right now. So is there any chance? Possibly, but New York, from what I understand, New York has a tendency not to allow cameras in their courtroom as a general rule. So unless something is special about this case, which in a lot of ways you can say it is a special case, who knows? It comes down to whether or not they, meaning the state of New York, thinks that a bigger lesson will be taught to the public to mind their manners if it's televised or not. If they think that it's going to become putting the American healthcare system on trial for the whole world to see, there's no way in hell that's getting on TV. But I would imagine it's not going to get on TV. You're going to have reporters in the courtroom who are going to give their briefings at the end of the day and say, here are the highlights of the day. You know, so-and-so testified to so-and-so. They'll have some commentary on there. They looked nervous on the stand. They were, they didn't look authentic. Several of the jurors looked away when they made eye contact. You'll get all these little subtle things about what's going on in the courtroom through whoever wants to tell that narrative's eyes. But we won't see it with their own eyes. That's my belief. The federal will not be broadcast. Probably not. I don't know if the state will be broadcast either. But the state gets to go first, right? So, and horrible court artists, yeah. Thank you all, by the way, for the likes. We got 6.1 thousand likes on the broadcast and 27 to 29 concurrent users pretty regularly. So I really appreciate that, especially considering I don't really have a topic for tonight. So thank you for supporting the channel. Like I said, it's been a little bit of a depressing day. So this is kind of a silver lining to what has been a little bit of a depressing day. So that's awesome. There's a story about the cousin concerning the Christopher Columbus statue. I'm not sure about that. Thank you for the follow. Oh, see? Just followed you. Invite. That's so funny. I fell for it again. Just followed you is your name, your username, right? I keep fucking following for that. It's so ingenious. Anyways, it's hilarious. Or did you just follow me? Hold on, maybe you did, because now I see your picture above in the other one. Okay. Anyways, it looks like you did follow me, so my apologies. Now I look like an idiot, because I was like, oh my god, you just named yourself, just followed you, which would be hilarious. Did you listen to the TikTok Supreme Court hearing today? I didn't listen to it directly. I tried. I was at work, and there was a link on CNN that said listen live, and I clicked on it and nothing happened. So then I jumped on TikTok later, and all these people were talking about what they've been talking about. And then I went back to CNN, and I got some audio snippets from the Supreme Court hearing. So I've heard snippets. I didn't get to hear it live, unfortunately. I presume it's done, right? So was it one day? Is it a 1 day thing? Did they issue an actual formal statement, or are they going to give the formal statement later today, or what? I did not hear if they have made a decision, but I'm imagining it's all done now, right? The test, the hearing the argument is done, right? Monday is when they're going to make their final decision. Are they still taking any more commentary over the weekend, or is that it? Oh, there's more commentary on Monday. All right. Oh, so no. So I'm confused. Is it just a decision on Monday? I'll leave one question so that you don't have to figure out which one you're going to answer. Is it just going to be the decision on Monday? Thanks again for spamming the likes. Appreciate that very, very much. Got ourselves a couple of more followers. I've gone a whole 36 minutes without getting a community guidelines violation. That's a record. No, it's not a record, but it is nice. I have gone a couple of hours. I've gone a couple hours without a community guidelines violation, but I think this was about where we were in the last show when I got violated. Anyways. The early thing I saw on CNN that got me depressed was, it was a headline on CNN that says, early indications are the Supreme Court is going to uphold the ban on TikTok. I don't know if that's just because it was early in the discussion and the judges were basically giving their initial questions, and that led a commentator to say, oh, if they're asking those questions, they must be supporting the ban. I don't know if it changed when other people came forward. What I did hear somebody say, who was it that said that? Somebody was saying, oh, maybe it was just a TikToker, was saying how woefully uneducated the Supreme Court justices were about TikTok in general and how social media works. And it's like, how the hell are they rendering a verdict on something they don't even understand? It's clear they fundamentally do not understand social media and how it works. And yet they're going to make a decision for us that's going to affect potentially the future of free speech. It sounded to you like the Supreme Court wasn't really buying why the ban should go into effect. That's interesting. Which is funny because CNN was acting like, oh, it looks like they're going to uphold the ban. But I guess we really won't know until Monday. Now, the real question becomes is whether or not anything happens when on the 19th. So if the 19th, the ban goes into effect, does TikTok disappear immediately? There's a bunch of scenarios. I want to talk about those scenarios briefly. So I don't know if everyone's aware of this. There's been plenty of TikToks about it. But people have said, oh, well, it's not like TikTok's going to be removed from your phone. That's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true. By default, Android phones have Play Protect turned on your account. Play Protect means if there's an app in the App Store for Google that they have deemed to be dangerous in some way, shape, or form, Play Protect will automatically uninstall it from your phone immediately. So, it is not necessarily true that if the ban goes into effect that you'll just keep TikTok if you've already got it downloaded. It may be pulled from your phone unless you've turned off the Play Protect. Which I argued, if you're concerned about Americans' security and data, then why pass a law that's going to require and make a lot of Americans cripple the security features on their phone to keep TikTok? Like going into Play Protect and turning it off. And going into side loading of apps so that if it does get uninstalled, they can reinstall it from some website somewhere. Doing both of those things makes your phone less secure because you can't just do it just for TikTok. So if you disable Play Protect, then you're saying, if you find 30 other dangerous apps out there that could be bad for me, go ahead and let them all stay because I've turned off Play Protect. So if America was concerned about our safety and our privacy and our data, they wouldn't do something that's going to cause a lot of Americans to potentially cripple the security features that already exist on their phone so they can keep using TikTok. I don't know. That's me. $8,000 likes. Thank you so much. 25 concurrent viewers. That's good for us. I mean, like I said, I saw today somebody that was talking about Luigi and he had 182 people in his room, and I'm like, damn. Then again, his follower base is about 20 times bigger than mine. So I guess that maybe those two go hand in hand. If you've got like 200,000 people following you, maybe it's a lot easier to get 182 people coming in. See, I shouldn't be so depressed. It's just a numbers thing. How many times has my data been hijacked from doctors and health insurance company? Right. Right. I don't want to go on a side tangent, but yeah. I was asked, oh my gosh, I don't even want to get into it. I went to the doctor's office for something a while back, and they had a new form that they wanted to give me, which asked me if I had ever used an illegal substance. And they listed the substances that they considered illegal. Now, I want to point out, I live in a state in which, for example, marijuana, oh gosh, can't say it. I live in a state in which a certain substance is deemed decriminalized. And I could go on a rant about the difference between legalized and decriminalized. It's not legal, but it's decriminalized, right? So anyways, so they asked me on a form in a state that has decriminalized a certain substance and said, have you ever used it? And me being an honest person, because I'm generally honest, said, yeah, why not? I live in a state that has decriminalized it anyways, and it's in the past. What does it matter? And they then had an intake person come in and start questioning me about dependency issues and about whether or not, and they came in with another form to ask all kinds of follow-up questions about whether or not I had dependency issues, whether I've done any crimes while doing things. And I'm like, are you kidding? And I threw a fit. Like, I normally don't. I threw a fit. I said, this is crap. And well, it's totally optional. I said, then throw my form away. I'm not answering the first form. Throw that form away. And they did. They're like, well, we didn't mean to upset you, but it's totally optional. I'm like, the fact that I was honest with you and now you've got an extra intake questionnaire I got to do to answer a bunch of other questions about something that is decriminalized and legally my right. Well, again, difference between legality and decriminalized. But anyways, I was irritated. And I'm never rude to people. Like, I didn't shout and whatever, but I did make it clear. I said, this is garbage. That form needs to go away. You can't ask people like that. And they said that. They're like, well, it's optional. Okay, then toss it. And like I said, to their credit, oh, I got restricted. There you go. Can't even talk about it. Fuck me, man. And I got 2 restrictions. Let's see what they are today. Your live does not comply with the 4 UFeed eligibility standards because you talked about drugs. And you have uncomfortable regulated goods and products. Because I talked about it, I am now restricted. Man, I didn't make it a whole hour. Here I go. I can't talk. My freedom of speech is just there is no freedom of speech. I can't talk. And it's okay about it's okay because the people who are in here get to stay in here, right? And all they're really not doing is they're not promoting it to more people. They're not going to be putting it out there and saying, hey, you should check out this guy's live. It's not the end of the world. And I only planned on going an hour, which is about 15 minutes more anyways. So, I tried not to even say the word, but it was enough to get me, and again, not banned. That's not the right word. My live has been restricted. So which means I may or may not be able to download this live and post it to YouTube. in the land of the free. We're supposed to have all this protection of free speech. But, as they would say, the saying goes, I learned this from my buddy, it's freedom of speech, not freedom of reach. Nobody guarantees you that you have to have freedom of reach. They don't have to promote you at all. It's not their obligation to promote you, and it's not your right as a citizen to be promoted. So you can talk all you want in your bedroom to a camera or whatever, but they don't have to promote you. It's freedom of speech, not freedom of reach. And I get that to some extent. If we want to play that game, that's fine. Yeah, I can't remember if I remember seeing the 18 or over flag on there, but I could have done that, yeah. And to be fair, I wasn't planning on even talking about that. And like I said, I made the mistake when I said, I want to go into this, and then I did. Which is the same thing that happened to me the other night when I got the restriction, because somebody asked me a question about something, and I said, what do you mean? Like a dumbass. And then I went right into it and got banned over there. So I got to stop being baited. I'm not being baited. Like, nobody baited me. I did it to myself. But I need to stop letting myself go in territories that I know I'm going to get in trouble for, which sucks because I have to be ashamed now of talking bluntly about topics, and that's American policy, right? So if American company owns TikTok, that same thing is going to happen to me. No, that's an illegal thing in America. So you talked about something illegal, you're done. How does it work in regards to free speech from the government and private companies? I'm not sure what you're exactly asking with that question, so I don't know that I want to take a stab at answering it because I'm not sure what you're going to. I often hear that the First Amendment doesn't apply to private business. That's interesting. I mean, free speech is a thing that constantly gets redefined in America in the first place. The court systems end up constantly redefining what is free speech and what's not free speech, and what you can say and what you can't say. Like, there's exceptions to be made. The classic example of you're not supposed to be able to go into a crowded theater and scream fire and get everybody to panic and run out and trample each other. That's not an exercise of free speech, and so they put stipulations. Well, free speech doesn't mean inciting a riot by screaming something horrible and making people freak out. That's not protected under your right of free speech. But you should have freedom of expression and the freedom to say how you feel about things without fear. And that was the other lie. We talked about things that my generation was lied to. We were told that why our country is so great in America is because you can criticize your own government in this country. Other countries can't do that. You criticize the government, you're going to jail, you're going in a hole, and you'll be tortured or locked away forever because you just simply questioned your own government. But in America, you can question your government. So I questioned my government's policies, and I got myself restricted. Now, granted, TikTok's not owned by America right now, but there are American data specialists who are working for TikTok that are monitoring it, and I'm sure it was an American that probably flagged it. My guess. All right, we got about 12 more minutes before I'm going to kind of cut out. Is there any last minute questions, comments, concerns? Do you have any thoughts that you want to share on the looming TikTok ban? Do you know where everybody's going after TikTok? What's life going to look like for us after TikTok? Are we going to have a platform to share as Americans what we feel? And not just Americans, TikTok's international. Can Americans share with everybody else in the world what we're going through, or will we go into a dark hole? What is going to be the future? Any questions about Luigi you want to talk about before we end up wrapping up? Yeah, lady, you missed me getting restricted for talking about something. I think you missed that. Because I was sharing a story that happened to me at a medical facility, and that branched into a form that I was asked to fill out, which branched into me talking about something they don't want me talking about, and bam, I got 2 restrictions. Everybody's going to Twitch, okay? The TT study that says that it's pro-China, TikTok study pro-China was made up by APC-aligned organization. Can Americans email senators to keep TikTok? You could, but it's not. You don't have enough time, and I don't think it matters. Again, I'm cynical. Senators don't seem to know anything more about technology than the Supreme Court does. So more than likely they don't know and don't give a crap either. There are some. I've seen some senators that are basically understanding that America is angry and upset, and that banning TikTok is not the way to win over the hearts and minds of America. Instagram, YouTube. Yeah, the problem is we are all over the place on where we're going and how we're going to go there. I feel bad for the really, really big. Here's the good thing my friend says about my partner in this TikTok Devil's Advocates is he said, the good news is we're small fry. So we're not losing a big base. Think about those people who have 200,000 or 1 million followers and they just instantly lose their base. Like, they got to start over somewhere and they got to hope that they got the message out where people can go find them. Like, we can start anywhere, right, and build from the ground up again. The problem is, will anybody be able to deliver the community that TikTok has delivered to us in America? Will anybody do it right? I mean, TikTok's not even doing it right, but they're doing it better than anyone else, it seems. But how bad will the next one be? I don't know. All right, I'm getting ready to wrap up. I want to thank everybody for the 10,000 likes tonight and the 20 or so kind of concurrent users we had for a long time. I apologize that I went on some personal rants. I'm even more sorry to myself that I got myself restricted twice again tonight. Thank you all for coming and supporting the channel. I will try to firm up where we're all going, but again, devilsadvocates.info is our main page. We will notify people on where we're going from there. Also, there's the YouTube channel, Devil's Advocates YouTube channel. That is linked in my bio. So if you click on my bio right now, you can see a link both to the website and to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here tonight and sharing your evening with me. Have a good night and keep your chin up.